Well, welcome everybody to today's roundtable on water innovations. I'm Ken Hughes with the Coalition of Sustainable Communities, and I'll be the moderator and token male on this group here. We have a great group of folks who are going to provide various perspectives on how we can and must innovate when it comes to our most precious natural resource. So panelists are State Engineer Designee Liz Anderson, welcome. She will be followed by Dr. LaDonna Clayton, Executive Director of the Ogallala Land and Water Conservancy out of Clovis. She's pinch hitting today for the Water Foundation's Nina Karanko, who got called up for jury duty. So different ways to exercise our civics today. Next, we have Christine Chavez here in Santa Fe to talk about how the city's water conservation team is producing more water efficiency measures, and some of them are very path-breaking. Our last panelist, so I admit more people here, is Dr. Sydney Lienemann. She'll be joining us, Senior Advisor to Environment Secretary Kenny. She's going to give an update on some innovative ways to detect leaks. So with that, State Engineer Designee Liz, go ahead and take it away.
All right. Well, thanks for having me here. I have a couple slides. I don't know, is it?
Yeah, just hit the share button.
Okay, let's see how this goes. Share right there.
There we go.
Are you seeing presentation? Then kind of, it needs to go into presentation mode, huh?
Yep. Nice photo.
Are you seeing the right screen or are you seeing the notes screen?
Both of them.
You're seeing both screens?
One's smaller than the other.
Oh, you're seeing the notes here. Let me see if I can flip-flop these. Hang on just a moment. All kinds of random stuff open. Here we go. Are you still seeing the note screen?
Yeah, but that's okay. That thing is big enough. Oh, and by the way, one more announcement. I'm sorry. Keep it on mute, and if you have any questions, hang on till the end of the presentation, then raise your hand virtually. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, now are you seeing the big screen?
Yes, great.
Great. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for having me. I was looking through the people online here, and I know some of you and some of you I don't know, but it looks like a good group of people. I've never presented for this group before, and I'm excited to get to talk to you. Whoops, you've probably seen yourselves. There we go. Can you still see the screen? Presentation screen?
Yes, Liz, we can. We can see it well. Liz, you're muted.
Okay, thank you. Can you see and hear me now?
Yes, see and hear.
Okay, great. All right. Well, I just wanted to start off by just giving a little introduction to myself since I'm new in this role. I've been here for 3 months, so bear with me. I'm still getting my feet under me. Before this, I was a senior advisor to Mike Hammonds, our previous state engineer. So I was really lucky to get to spend the last year working directly with him, working on a lot of the issues that we're still working on. So I feel like there's really good continuity. It was great to get a chance to work with him so closely and get to know the people here at the Office of the State Engineer really well from a different perspective. I did a lot of work internal to the agency on strategic planning, and I really appreciated the opportunity to get to know the people and the systems. And now I'm really enjoying taking the helm and seeing where we can go from here. So just to set the stage a little bit here, let's see. So we're working in a world with less water, and we anticipate there being even less in the future. I think New Mexico's done an excellent job of acknowledging this and studying what we anticipate our future to look like. In 2022, the New Mexico Bureau of Geology and Mineral Resources released the Climate Change in New Mexico over the next 50 years, Impacts on Water Resources. This report, the map shown on the screen is also from that report. And I think it just provides a really great visual. You know, we're in that dark brown area. We expect our water stress index to be high. And ultimately, we're expecting in the next 50 years to have approximately 25% less water in our systems. So we are at the forefront of this, and we need to be working to adjust and be prepared for those changes. Some other really important documents that have come out recently in 2022, the Water Policy and Infrastructure Task Force issued their report. Actually, I was on that task force along with several people on this call. I know LaDonna was on that, our next presenter, and I'm not sure who else, if I'm missing anybody, but it was a really great group of people from across different agencies and different interests, different stakeholder groups, a broad representation of people. And we came to, it was just a great working group. We were able to really work closely together and come up with 17 recommendations that were recommended by the whole group, and 106 strategies through a multi-phase implementation period. Also in 2023, the state water plan was updated. It was updating from the 2018 plan, and it has a lot of recommendations, particularly revitalization of regional water planning, which I'll talk about a little bit more at the end of this. And I hope all of you have been hearing about. It's definitely going to be a dynamic process, and it's underway right now. And then the 50-year water action plan came out. Our governor, Michelle Lujan Grisham, really put a lot of thought and effort with our teams into this water action plan. It considers the other recommendations of the Water Task Force and tribal working groups. This report focuses on water conservation. It kind of takes a lot of the recommendations and breaks them down, highlighting the ones that are a focus in the report under areas of water conservation, new water supplies, and water and watershed protection. So within that, I thought I'd just break down a little bit the recommendations of that report. This report, it's focuses on ensuring that New Mexicans have a secure water supply, resilient watersheds, and thriving local economies through the focus in these broad brush areas. This report also has specific goals, and so it dives into actions that can be taken to improve our water systems and water supplies. It's also built on a foundation of ongoing efforts. There's a lot of work being done right now in water in New Mexico. Here at the Office of the State Engineer, we are very actively working on a number of Indian water rights settlements. We currently have 6 settlements in Congress waiting for approval. They've already been approved by the governor's office. We're working on aligning funding from the legislature through the legislative sessions. So someone has actually, I wonder if we could mute. Jacqueline, it seems like you could mute yours. Thank you very much. So there's a lot of work being done on those Indian water rights settlements. Big push to try and get those through the lame duck session before the next administration comes in. And there's been a ton of work that's been done for Indian water rights settlements in the state, getting us to the point where we are right now. And there's many more to do. The Land of Enchantment Legacy Fund is something that came online a couple years ago. There were some reforms that were issued last year by the legislature for the Water Trust Board that now make it so that we can fund both water and wastewater projects. And And there's funding there also to be able, or the ability to be able to assist communities in putting together their packages, their preliminary design work. It's more of a consultant resource, I think, is what's going to be coming out of that. Improving opportunities for communities to leverage capital outlay funding to complete water projects. Implementing the New Mexico Water Data Act is a big focus of mine personally. I'm very excited about it. I'll get into that in more detail in a couple of slides. Also, broader investments in local capacity building and the water workforce. We'll talk more about that too, but we can't do any of this without people, and there are not enough people going into water. We need to really focus on educating people in water and getting them enthusiastic about joining the water workforce. There are so many jobs out there needing to be done. Also, the Regional Water System Resiliency Act, that's more focused with an NMED, drinking water and wastewater systems. That's more of an NMED topic, but it's incredibly valuable for small systems to be able to regionalize and share resources. And then the robust regional planning to implement the Water Security Planning Act of 2023. I'll get into that a little bit more later too, but hopefully you've all heard about the efforts underway for the rulemaking on the regional planning work that's underway. How is OSC, ISC preparing for climate change? We're working on 50-year water action plan implementation. There are a number of actions directly associated with our agency. Also the Water Security Planning Act, as I mentioned. We're using active administration of water rights. It's something where I'll get into our budget request this year for the legislative session in a little bit here, but ultimately we need to be able to have the resources in order to actively administer water rights more efficiently. And that means having more water metering, more water masters. We want to use existing tools like the Strategic Water Reserve and develop new tools, such as the modernization of a lot of the agency databases. There's more examples than that, but ultimately we need to have the right tools to be able to administer water rights effectively. Indian water rights settlements, as I said, are extremely important for our state. They help define both the native water rights and the community water rights. It's essentially little adjudications being completed along with these Indian water rights settlements. And in a lot of cases, they're coming up with sharing agreements where in times of shortage, they are agreeing in advance through the Indian water rights settlement process, how that water will be shared. Water delivery projects like the Navajo Gallup pipeline project that's underway right now. One of the settlements that that's going through Congress is going to fully fund that project. And so that's a really critical piece and a critical piece of infrastructure for New Mexico. In the Eastern New Mexico Rural Water System, they've broken ground and are working hard to get that system in place to provide water to Corvallis, Portales, did I say that right? Clovis. I'm starting to mix up names. Clovis, Portales, and a number, I think Texaco, Elida, and I'm missing one, but there's a number of communities out on the eastern portion of the state that are really going to benefit from that system. It's a critical project, and we're working with them on that. The river compact compliance, that ultimately we have to stay in compliance with our interstate river compacts, and administration of water rights within the state is a critical piece of maintaining that compact compliance. Also our stream conveyance improvement projects and supporting the ESA requirements, our environmental requirements on our stream systems. That's a critical piece of all of this water administration as well. And there's a lot going on in that area too. Non-potable development, brackish produced water and municipal wastewater, developing these different water sources and in a safe way for the state to have those additional reserves of water is a critical area as well. We need to look at all of our resources and all of the tools in the toolbox that we have. And that certainly presents a resource for the state. Watershed restoration for thriving forests and water supplies. I feel like I'm just reading off this list and I apologize for that, but ultimately protecting our watersheds is going to protect our water resources. There's lots of reasons why we want to protect watersheds and have them in healthy conditions. But forest fires can be really devastating to watersheds, and making sure that they're resilient through fire, through managed fire and those managed resources. I think we need to be thinking of our watersheds and our forests as infrastructure that we're supporting for our state's water resources. So we're working closely with a number of agencies on watershed restoration projects. And then the water workforce development, I can't emphasize that enough. If you know people, if you are interested in water jobs or know people, I'm sure you're all out there looking at this group. I have no doubt that you all are out there recruiting people into the water workforce as well. And the more that we can do of that, the better. Within the public agencies, having internships, private agencies too. I was talking to some of the folks over at UNM who run their engineering department, and they said that internships are like their #1 indicator of a student making it through the program and entering the workforce. If they can have a meaningful job experience and recognize and have that sort of partnership and support throughout their education, that really aligns them with work and keeps them on track for progressing through school and into the water workforce. Oh, I think I went the wrong way. Sorry. A lot of times when people ask about the Office of the State Engineer, they get a little confused about what we do here. I like to say that the OSC and so the Office of the State Engineer and the Interstate Stream Commission are a share. It's like basically one agency, but we do have some divisions because the Interstate Stream Commission holds water rights and we administer water rights. So we have a lot of shared mission. We work extremely closely together, but there is a division there for that reason, and probably other reasons too that I'm not aware of. But as I've only been here for 3 months. But anyways, under the Office of the State Engineer, we have a number of different divisions. We have 7 district offices around the state. We work on abstracting, which means taking paper files and putting them into an electronic format and really defining the water right through that process so that it can be interacted with online more quickly than through paper. That's a big effort that's underway in all of our offices. We have a statewide program that works on resources throughout the state, in particular our wells and well drillers, licenses, and things like that. Hydrology, we have a group of extremely technical and brilliant hydrologists who do a lot of the work on our permitting applications. Water use and conservation, and then the dam safety group. I mean, I can't say enough. We have just so many excellent people here in the agency, very knowledgeable, with years of experience, and it really takes years of experience to be able to work here and be proficient in what we need people to do. We have a tribal liaison who's out working with all of the tribes. He's incredible. And we have a hearing unit and litigation and adjudication program. We recently, within the last couple of years, created a Pueblos, Tribes, and Nations group it's a bureau within the litigation and adjudication program. And they've been very actively working with tribes throughout the state to create these settlements. I should say also, I don't know if I said this before, but of the 12 settlements in Congress, 6 are ours. So New Mexico has been very proactive about working with our tribes to create these settlements. Also, the Interstate Stream Commission, they have river bureaus dedicated to maintaining, all the compact requirements and working with the neighboring states on those compacts. One also is the acequias Bureau. We've been working very, very closely with the acequias, and it's very helpful. We administer a lot of grants for acequias through the agency. And we recently hired someone just focused purely on Indian water resources in ISC. And they have a statewide planning group that's doing the regional planning. We're a party to 8 river compacts. But ultimately, when you look at the 2 agencies and how we interact, OSC is administering water rights, and ISC is it is ensuring compact compliance and working on regional planning with communities. So there's this kind of cycle. We can't have one without the other, and we work extremely closely together. I also, as the state engineer, sit on the Interstate Stream Commission as the secretary. As far as my priorities, if I start running out of time here, could you let me know? Am I supposed to be done at 1:30? I think that's right.
1:30-ish.
1:30-ish? Okay. I hope this is interesting to everyone. I was trying to hit on the topics I thought would be of interest, but we'll leave a little time at the end for questions if you need them.
Sure.
Also, so our priorities with the agencies, when I kind of break it down to where like my mind really goes, I really am focused on protecting New Mexico's water resources through implementation of the 50-year Water Action Plan, the Water Security Planning Act, and working closely with our federal and local partners and compacting states. That we need to protect our resources in so many different ways. One piece I also neglected to say, the Office of the State Engineer really focuses on water quantity. The New Mexico Environment Department, I'd like to think that they're more of the water quality arm. So we work very closely together. And when I talk about protecting New Mexico water resources, it's all of those things, right? We're working on the quantity aspects, they're working on the quality aspects. Also within our agency, modernization of our systems is just critical. We have excellent staff. They do not have the right tools to do the jobs that they need to do. So we're working to improve that, and it's been an ongoing effort from well before I was here. But the water administration structure is something that we're working on. We need more metering and more effective tools, more water masters. We need to be able to expedite water rights permit hearings to really effectively administer water. And then we need to use our active water resources management statute and create more agreements upfront of shortages in order to help groups to share those water resources. And that statute really provides us with the backbone to do that. Also, and we have at least 4 different basins that are using active water resources management right now. We just need to do more of that. Updating our agency functions, we need to make better use of our data, and that means having our data at our fingertips, which is a modernization that we're working on and will continue to be working on. We need more support and resources, and we need to be able to attract a talented workforce. We have incredibly talented staff. We need more of them, and we need to be able to maintain that workforce and retain them. It takes us years to train people. We bring them into the agency, we train them, they're excellent, and then we wind up losing them either to other agencies or other jobs, but it's very challenging and it takes years to really get people up to the speed that we need them to do these jobs. And then progress on our Indian water rights settlements and adjudications is a critical area as well. I will always be an advocate for our employees and resources. So of those things, that's the backbone of what we do, the people. Our budget priorities this year, we've kind of grouped them into different topic areas, but under water management, we're working on expanded metering, administration of water within the Middle Rio Grande, and aquifer sustainability in the Lower Rio Grande. There's a lot of overlap in those two concepts, but the Rio Grande is a big area of focus. Sakias and trust fund sustainability. We're asking for trust fund infusions. We're still waiting for the governor's budget to come out. So this is just the original request that went in. We'll see how it all kind of shakes out because they have so many competing needs. The strategic water reserve is an area that we're asking for continued funding, and then interstate litigation is costly and necessary. So funding for that. The 50-year Water Action Plan, we have our water planning, education, and outreach that's ongoing under that effort. And river channel maintenance. There's been so much with forest fires come sedimentation, and just sedimentation in general really creates channels or challenges for river conveyance of water, which impacts water users, it impacts the environment, and it impacts our compact compliance. So Channel maintenance, habitat restoration, and flood control projects are another area of emphasis within our budget requests. Settlements and adjudications, we have our Indian water rights settlements implementation, funding requirements for that. We're asking for about $40 million to be set aside by the legislature to fund the portions of our Indian water rights settlements that are required by the state. Of those 6 settlements that I was telling you about, there's about $3.2 billion of federal funding that would come into the state with approval of those through Congress. There's also a state match requirement of about $240 million. So we're working on filling that fund to be able to provide the state match, and that's a big effort as well. And then Water Data Act implementation. The Waters database is the interface that people see from the public side, but we also use it within the agency consistently day in, day out. And we're working on getting funding to be able to update that database. It is 30 years old. And when you think about how long databases have been around, that's about as long as how databases have probably been around. So we really need to update that database, and then also our real-time measurement systems. So we have we're kind of strategically working through different database updates, and those are the 2 that we have in the queue right now for funding. And then water workforce capacity development, I just have to put a final plug in and say how important this is. There's jobs all over the place in the water workforce. And our agency is just one of those many. So the more people we can get in, the better. Water Security Planning Act. I hope that you've all been seeing updates and seeing the advertisements that we've had. We went around the state with a rulemaking process to collect feedback from people all across the state. I believe we had something like 14 community meetings. I'm probably low on that number, but a large number of community meetings gathering feedback as well as feedback online. This is all for the rulemaking process that's currently taking place that's going to define how regional water planning will happen in the future. And the timeline right now is that, we're in the process of this robust public and tribal input phase. We have a tribal working group that's called the WSTAC, the Water Security Tribal Advisory Council, and they've already formed, and they're going to be working collaboratively to provide tribal input to the rulemaking, and then moving forward as well on regional planning. And then we also have the rule promulgation is going to happen in the spring. And then we anticipate that we'll be setting up regional water planning entities in 25 through 26. And from that point on, it's just going to be this iterative process with staggered regional water planning efforts, but ultimately never just having a document sitting on the shelf. The goal of regional water planning is to have working documents that can prioritize projects that support regional planning areas. So we can find projects with shared interests and help actually prioritize those for legislative funding. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Great, thank you very much. If you could, yeah, there we go. And if you guys have questions, raise your virtual hand and I'll call on you. And welcome Sydney to our roundtable.
Thanks. Sorry I was late.
Great. I don't see any questions right now. Great photos, by the way. Makes me want to live here. Oh, I do. Yeah, it's a wonderful place to be, and the water makes all the difference. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm going to have to drop off, but if anyone has any
Sure.
questions, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, let's see. What's the other question here? Will slides and notes be shared afterwards? Yes, we'll post this on our coalition website. So it'll be available for anyone to peruse later on. Okay, Liz, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Nice to talk with you all. Have a good day.
Next, we have LaDonna coming in from Angel Fire. Take it away.
Thank you, Ken. I think that Jake McCook is actually going to precede me with a video first.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Jake McCook. I work with Nina at the Water Foundation, and I'm going to show you a short video about a campaign that we're doing called Water Can't Wait. It's an effort from New Mexicans around the state to encourage our leaders to make water issues a priority. I'm going to try to share my screen here, and I think it should play for all of you. So let me just do that real quick, and then LaDonna will give her presentation. That.
Okay.
Oh, it looks like. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, let's give it a shot. You may have to adjust your volume on your end.
The desert is known for abundance for people who know respect, but it's known for harsh limits for those who don't. Everything that we do economically, culturally, spiritually has a basis in our water resources. If we don't respect and appreciate and prioritize the most fundamental element that sustains us all, that's water, nature will have the last word.
When my granddad first started farming, they didn't think that much about how long the water was going to last.
When I was growing up on an irrigated farm north of Texaco, the water was great. And then we began to see the decline. And it's just continuing to decline.
Those westerly rainstorms that we expect have not been arriving. They've been arriving very light, very sparse, and very late.
It's scary for a lot of us. Shortages of water. It's always the land-based people that suffer the most. When there's no rain, the land gets sick and the animals get sick.
In the state, we have lost a tremendous amount of our riparian areas, which really contribute to the biological diversity. We really have to do whatever we can to restore and protect the state's rivers and streams.
The solutions that our ancestors provided are there. They knew the preciousness of the water.
The 50-year water plan tells us that we need to adapt to a future with 25% less water supply around the state. We need to play catch up and respond as quickly as we can.
If Silver City or if the other towns want to protect their water, we have to protect the watershed first. If we don't have a healthy watershed, none of the towns are going to have any water.
We've had legislators step up to the plate and help us out. But the issues we're facing are even bigger than that. Development has taken precedence. We're building on all our irrigated land. We're dealing with an economy that thinks if it can buy it, it owns it and it controls it. Well, here in northern New Mexico, we're dealing with a culture that believes that we belong to it. And at some point, the legislators are going to have to step up. They're in front.
When I look at the state, what I see, significantly understaffed departments. We don't have the people we need to even begin to get this work done. Why are we trying to address a problem of this magnitude with minimum resources?
Everything moves in slow motion, and there literally is no sense of urgency. People in this area are hurt. They're just everyday people, and this is happening across the state as well.
Water issues should be more of a priority, especially for southern New Mexico, because we are the most downstream in the Rio Grande. And so all the decisions made up north impact us, even though we don't see that water year round.
We have generations of wisdom in many of our New Mexico communities. What we need is for the decision makers to also listen to that wisdom.
I don't believe that, the people in eastern New Mexico ever feel like their voice is heard in Santa Fe.
We envision this as an emergency moment.
Policymakers really need to take a stand, be firm, and say, we have to change our actions. We have to change our own values.
I ask every legislator, what will you do without the water? We don't survive without water. No water, no life. How will you expand the economy. You won't, not without water. How will communities grow? How will we continue to flourish as a people? No matter where we live, we won't without water. Until the state of New Mexico truly wakes up and says, we have a water crisis that we're facing, and we must take immediate action and put a focus there, no matter what it takes, I don't see great promise until that happens for the state.
We don't have a lot of time left. We're getting to the end of our resource. The wells are going dry. The fires are getting big. The sky is falling. There is a way to bring the river flows back to address each and every one of these problems. But we are going to have to challenge ourselves with some radical changes. We definitely have to make water issues more of a priority. Water can't wait.
Water can't wait.
All right, LaDonna, I'll turn it over back over to you. If you don't mind just sharing a little bit about your involvement in the campaign overall, and then obviously go into your presentation, but I'll cut myself short here. Thank you so much, Ken.
Thank you. Looks like LaDonna dropped off.
May have lost her. I will shoot her a note and see if we can get her back on.
Okay.
I will include the link to the website in the chat here. This is
Okay.
just an effort that the Water Foundation sponsored, and we were led to a lot of people around the state who were involved in water issues like LaDonna. But a lot of the people that you see in this video are not professional advocates. They were just people who care deeply about water in their communities. And what we found is, even though there are very different geographies and water issues in different parts of the state, they all had a very common thread and wanting to see urgency from the governor and our legislators on this issue. So it's a full-fledged campaign that has launched earlier this summer and that will continue into the session. Thanks so much for your time again.
That's good to know. Thank you. If you can get her back on, that'd be great. In the meantime, oh, there we go. Admit LaDonna. There you are, you're back.
My apologies, Ken. I lost complete electricity and internet all at one time up here.
It happens to you too, huh?
Yes. So my apologies. I hope I'm not too late after the video. It should have just ended.
Yeah, it was very good.
Good.
So you can follow up with that. That'd be great.
Okay, thank you. I will do so. Before I share my screen, I just want to introduce myself. I'm LaDonna Clayton, and I am the Executive Director, as Ken mentioned earlier, of the Ogallala Land and Water Conservancy, which has only been up and functioning since October 1, 2021. And we exist with one sole purpose in mind, and that is to ensure the survival of the city of Clovis and Cannon Air Force Base, a military installation that is a major part of our economy and also considered family. We work very closely with them, but we really are in survival mode in eastern New Mexico. So this conservancy was created to bank groundwater. I'll talk about that a little more later, but I wanted to make you aware of the work that we do on this side of the state and that we are already living water scarcity to the fullest extent. With that, I'm going to share my PowerPoint. Can everyone see that well?
It's great. It's fine.
Great. Okay. Well, let me just follow up on the video that you just saw, which I think is so well done. This Water Can't Wait campaign has been pivotal to the understanding across the state. And I'm sure you noticed that Many voices were in that initial video talking about different areas across the state. The crisis is real. And I want to thank Nina Karanko, who could not be here today because of jury duty, for being on the Water Foundation and for funding this campaign. And I want to thank Jake McCook and McCook Strategies for the phenomenal job they did gathering people from all across the state to have these voices captured to discuss the water crisis. I just can't say enough about that work and the extent they went to really get the central message across. But I'm going to tell you, that's only the beginning. There is so much work ahead of us. And I hope in the time that I have, that I can connect some dots for you today about what we really think is critical and needs to be done to address this crisis. The first thing I want to say is we are definitely in a water crisis. We already know this to be a fact in Eastern New Mexico, and we're not alone. These other communities featured are experiencing the same. We're going to need the political will to act. So who does that belong to? That belongs to you. That belongs to me. That's my voice and your voices. But it's also most definitely our legislators. We're going to need the governor, our elected officials at the state and even the local levels, and our state agencies to truly act. And so water governance can only happen when we have and express that political will, not shying away from, not saying we can't do the hard work, but preparing to do exactly that rather swiftly and being efficient and effective. So my statistic here says we must prepare now to adapt to 25 to 35% less water availability by 2050 to 2070. Why would I say that? Because that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm experiencing. It's not going to just stay in that safe 25% realm. It's going to come in between those two ranges. And we're already seeing this type of loss of water availability in Eastern New Mexico. So 2050, that's way out. For us, we already started experiencing this before that time. And the city of Portales ran out of water for the most part to meet all of their needs. In June of 2023, they went into stage 3 emergency water restrictions, and they stayed there for a year on those emergency water restrictions. And I can't express enough how they are feeling, the time they went through when there wasn't enough water for showers for everyone. When I spoke with and realized New Mexico Christian Children's Home had children who did not have adequate water for showers or baths, and they just had to make do and come up with, some alternatives to get there. They weren't alone. There were others all across the Portales community. Now I find myself working with Texaco, and I've been working with Clovis since I was a city commissioner in 2016. And I began working on a master water assurance plan. So this is what I know. This water crisis is very real, and it's going to be felt differently across the state, but we all are going to experience it. We must accelerate the implementation of existing. This is the interesting thing. We have existing innovative tools that really will help us ensure New Mexico's water security. So why have we not implemented them to the fullest extent? Why have we been asleep at the wheel? Why have we not recognized the urgency? And this is what Water Can't Wait is all about, helping us to act now, realize the urgency, and take actions that will make the difference, not only for us, but for future generations. These critical actions require funding. Here's one of the first tools I want to talk about because it is absolutely foundational to every other tool I will describe as I connect these dots. And that is the 2023 Water Security Planning Act, which is also now known as Regional Water Planning. Now, this emerged as a direct recommendation from the 2022 Water Policy and Infrastructure Task Force. And year one that it went before the legislature, it was approved in 2023. Then following the approval of that act, The Mainstream New Mexico group came together and hosted open house events in all 15 regions, as well as online. And they have now produced a 169-page document regarding all of this very rich data. People answered key questions. I felt like their design for these open houses was truly exceptional because it gathered the voices, the thoughts, the perspectives, the understanding of all people from all over the state in these 15 regions, as well as giving them an opportunity to weigh in online if they couldn't make a meeting. And I would encourage you to get on mainstreamnewmexico.org and really look at that wonderful downloadable document and see how your region fared. See what questions were asked there and notice the difference in the hydrologic reality of these various regions. What is the main goal? To establish a statewide set of regional water resilience plans. Meaningful plans grounded in robust data and each region's unique hydrologic reality. I say that because if you come to my side of the state, in Clovis, Portales, Texaco, and that entire area on the eastern side, you'll find that we have a sole source aquifer. That's my hydrologic reality. No surface water availability at this time whatsoever, nor do we expect that surface water to be delivered to us. We don't have rivers, we don't have streams, we don't have a reservoir. We have an aquifer, a sole source aquifer, the Ogallala aquifer, and it is depleting at an extremely rapid rate due to irrigation farming. So that's my hydrologic reality. Now I know the Ute pipeline is being constructed and is meant to bring or deliver water to 4 areas plus Cannon Air Force Base, but not before 2031. Are we going to run out before then? Yes, we will. So groundwater has to be banked for my hydrologic reality. The more groundwater I can bank through the Ogallala Land and Water Conservancy, the more my state can flourish and continue to thrive. Not my state, but my city. My city, Eastern New Mexico, and we're trying to help Portales do the same, as well as Texaco again. And there are others coming on board that are beginning to see this water scarcity hit their communities. We have a lot of rural communities around us in Eastern New Mexico. Effective water planning requires good water data and water models, and both of which is very important to remember. State water agencies are mandated to provide under this particular law, the 2023 Water Security Planning Act. So here's the Water Data Act that was improved in 2019, but why is it, again, not fully implemented? These are questions we need to be asking ourselves. Why have these things not been done? When we knew we were facing significant climate change, that in my area, we're moving toward desertification, that we're seeing a difference in rainfall. We've just come on the other side of extreme drought, and we're not alone in that. So we have to, I believe, have a collective voice and a true passion and dedication to ensuring that these tools become fully implemented, which means fully funded, so that it will make the difference for our water resiliency today, tomorrow, and well into the future. The Water Data Act addresses critical need for comprehensive and accessible water data to support how we manage our water across New Mexico. Look, we can't do this work unless we have great data. We have to know where we're headed, why we're doing what we're doing, what is needed for this moment in time, and data provides those answers. The Water Data Act mandates a modern, integrated approach to water data management, and it really falls under the purview of the New Mexico Bureau of Geology and Mineral Resources alongside other state agencies working together. And my hat's always off to New Mexico Tech and the New Mexico Bureau of Geology and Mineral Resources as the science and data people that really help us make good informed decisions by the very research that they do. To fully implement this means we would have data collection, we would analyze that data, and the public would have absolute accessibility, which means absolute transparency. This is essential for sustainable water use and building a resilient future for New Mexico. What else is needed? Another tool, again, connecting the dots. This is a critical tool. This tool made all the difference for Eastern New Mexico. Without it, we would not have known what we were getting ready to face in 2016 and began to prepare through a master water assurance plan and began implementing plans which included a brand new land and water conservancy. And that is the 2012 Aquifer Mapping Program, again, through the New Mexico Bureau of Geology and Mineral Resources. Now, this includes extensive aquifer research and monitoring to determine the quality and quantity of both fresh and brackish groundwater. It will estimate remaining water resources and project longevity under current usage rates. This is how we knew we were in trouble, because we had aquifer mapping done 2016, updated 2017, another update by Dr. Rawling in 2018. Then we had him come in 2024 and 2023, actually into 2024. And we said, Dr. Rawling, we need you and your team to just go map our working area to bank groundwater in a very specific paleo channel where we have 26 residing irrigation or dryland farmers there, so that we know what we have remaining and the quality and quantity of that water. And is this a good place for us to bank groundwater, which we did. So we shut off 53 irrigation wells, and we have now saved almost 13 billion gallons of water since April 2022. If you can imagine that. We moved swiftly, again, based on the data and the science, the research, the analysis, and being told this is what it's showing. Now, just 19 miles south of us, our neighbors had the same data, same aquifer mapping results, because it was done in Roosevelt County and Curry County and a part of Clay County. But no one took action. And I really want to stop a moment to emphasize this and tell us, why didn't they take action? Some of it is a lack of being informed, a lack of education, a lack of knowledge. This is why public water education is going to be so critical to this endeavor. We have a lot of smaller communities, rural communities, that do not realize the urgency or the water crisis, or this data that they were provided was extremely informative. The projection was around June or July of 2023, they would go into emergency water restrictions, and that's exactly what they did. That's how close that projection was coming out of the New Mexico Bureau. Now, why am I emphasizing this so much? Because we need to get other wells drilled all across the state. This is extremely important. We don't have enough data, and yet keep in mind that New Mexico, out of all of the states in the nation, New Mexico relies on groundwater more than any other state. We need to know how much we have, where it's at, where our richest sources are, and what can we do to begin to get some of that in the strategic water reserve, or use the same process we're using in eastern New Mexico to bank the groundwater for the communities that need it. We had landowners step up and willingly give up irrigation farming so that they could save the water for the community. Why? Because it uses about 95% of all of the water in the area from the aquifer.
Donna, if you could wrap up in the next couple of minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll just end with this next one then. This will be a decade-long initiative to drill 100 aquifer monitoring wells statewide. And then I'm just going to add modernization for resilience. Liz did talk about this, but we have got to modernize our agencies. Our state water agencies are critical to everything I just discussed. I cannot get what I need done in my community without my state water agencies. I work very closely, especially with OSC and ISC. And then water education, I just want to emphasize the importance of this. It's going to be a heavy lift, but this regional water planning is including that water education piece and outreach and engagement. And that's my last slide. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was very, very powerful. All right, at the top of the hour, we're going to move over to Santa Fe and have Christine Chavez tell us what the city's been doing to innovate water conservation measures here in the capital city. And Christine, there you go.
There we go. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, it's great.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I've really enjoyed listening to the two presentations before me. My name is Christine Chavez, and I manage the City of Santa Fe's Water Conservation Program. And just to put things in perspective, I know we are talking big picture, high water use throughout the state and the challenges that we're facing. Just for perspective, I am presenting from a municipality perspective, which utilizes, I think it's like 14 or 15% of all the water in the state. So I know I'm joined here today by a couple of my other water conservation colleagues throughout the state, and we're all working really hard to conserve water and to instill sort of the values around water. But I mean, listening to all the presentations before me, it just makes me continue to realize it really is kind of a small drop in the bucket, but I feel like it's the most important one because we're engaging kids, businesses, everybody across the city, and really trying to build a culture around the importance and value of water. So just presenting from sort of your capital city, I think that we have a lot of successes to share. This is me and my staff in front of our demonstration garden in front of our office. Let's see. How do I go to the next slide? Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so just to talk a little bit about the success that we've had in the water conservation field, we measure water conservation savings through a GPCD calculation, which is gallons per capita per day. And this is how much water is used in the city for everything. It's not just residential or commercial, it's a total water use. And so as you can see, back in 1995, we were at 168 gallons per capita per day. We were mining our groundwater. We worked really hard to put some other resources in place and really shifted to using surface water. And we made really great strides in bringing down our water use and cut it almost in half. And as you can see, our population actually continued to increase. So that's one of our biggest success stories. We have one of the lowest GPCDs in the Southwest, and a lot of other municipalities really look to us as a model. We did go up last year because we did have really high temperatures and very little precipitation. We are expected to drop back down, in 2024 because it was a very different year climate-wise. So we have a whole suite of programs that we provide. We do have a K through 12 education program that really is one of the strongest pieces of education that we put out there. One thing that I think we do different is that we allow students to visit our different facilities. So the Buckman Direct Diversion Plant that we have is a state-of-the-art facility. We allow students to go on field trips there. They go up into the watershed and are able to look at our dams. One of them is under construction right now, so it's pretty unique for them to actually see a dam under construction and emptied. But we really believe that by taking them on site, not only do they get more perspective or appreciation around how their water is treated and delivered to their homes, but we also hope that it opens up some career, ideas in their heads since we're starting so young. The city of Santa Fe, of course, has a really large tourism base. We have over 500 restaurants, about 2,500 rooms, over 68 different hotels or lodging facilities. And so we do have a WaterWise program that is partnered with several other different partners, including the Santa Fe Community College, to really encourage our businesses to save water, and we do give them some kind of recognition when they're doing that. And we were asked by the public to hold our businesses more accountable and to have them use water more efficiently. And so when they do get that WaterWise badge on the outside of their door, at least the public knows that they are making efforts towards being more efficient. And then we do take into consideration the fact that, we keep hearing the 25 to 35% less water availability, hotter temperatures moving forward. And so our biggest focus right now is in the outdoor sector because there's lots of water to be saved there. And we definitely want to help our residents build landscapes that they can enjoy, but that will also be resilient in the face of those challenges. We are known for pilot projects and partnerships. We are a very collaborative program. And I think that we get a lot of community support because of that. We're never behind closed doors trying to figure out what's best for the city. It's a very involved process with public input and scorecards and a lot of transparency with the public so that we continue to get that engagement and support. And everyone really here in Santa Fe, I think it really is a culture. When you visit here, you don't see a lot of grassy lawns, and it is really sort of the the model for what we're trying to build across the state. We also have a water conservation committee, and I'm just going to put this out there. I don't know how many people are from Santa Fe that are on the call, but if you're interested in serving on this committee, it is chaired by one of our city councilors, and they're very, very, very involved in the different types of programming that we push forward. I think the biggest thing that really sets the city of Santa Fe apart from other work being done in the state, though, and which really aligns with some of the presentations that we've heard already, is that we are making a shift now. We have definitely picked not all of it, but most of the low-hanging fruit in the city. We've created tremendous savings through our different programs, but we have more to do, and we have a lot of new technology that's going to really help us get there. So we are really moving towards data-driven decisions. We have a really amazing suite of technology that we're starting to pivot to. We do have the advanced metering infrastructure and an ion water portal where customers can engage in, identifying their own leaks, studying their own water usage patterns, and trying to figure out where they can be more efficient. We do have a very advanced stewards model that we're just putting into place, and we have a presentation coming up on that that I'll let you guys know a little bit more about. But basically, this allows us to run any kind of scenario on our water system to identify any vulnerabilities that we might have or any work that we may need to focus on. And then we do have demand dashboards, supply dashboards, and those allow us to look at different parts of the city. We can look at parcel information that gives us landscape, square footage to focus on. I mean, it's very, very involved, and we're all trying to figure out how we use all this technology to pivot our programs into different types of efficiencies that we're trying to achieve. This graph that you see right here, though, this is the Santa Fe Water Resources Indicator. And we were having a lot of trouble because the city of Santa Fe has several different sources where we get our water from. We don't just have, some cities only are able to pump water out of the ground. We have 4 or 5 different sources to rely on. But we could never go to the public and say, we're in perfect shape, we're not in this crisis mode, because we're always sort of thinking ahead and really considering the challenges. So this water resources indicator is a way for us to communicate levels of drought to our public relative to our sources. And so this graph takes into account groundwater, surface water, and then the drought monitor that everybody sees statewide. We did build that in too, because that's public perception that we wanted to include. So depending on what level we fall in with this WRI tool, we have a set of policy responses that our public has to adhere to once we move in and out of these different stages. So we will be having a presentation on this model next Thursday at the Santa Fe Community Convention Center. One is at 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. We'll also be recording it. And so if you do want to learn more about it, you can visit our website, savewatersantafe.com, and you can join us or you can view the session online. But as you can see from the infographic that we have on the right side here, we're really trying to position ourselves. We've done all this great work. We've had a lot of successes, but we still have a lot of work to do. And so it's going to be a combination of using these different technology, the technological tools that we have available to us, and the public's priorities around how they want water to be used. And so it's a really great effort for me to align with not only short-term water conservation planning, but also long-term 40-year and 100-year water modeling as well. So we're really trying to align, with our water division and with those groups, and trying to work towards those same goals using this same shared set of tools. This is my information here. If you want to learn more, you can visit our website as well to learn more about our programs, but you're more than welcome to call me directly, and I'm happy to speak to any one of you. This was just a short presentation just to highlight some of the things that we're doing. But again, there's lots of great work in this realm happening across the state. And, I'm just really proud and happy to be a part of it.
Thank you very much, Christine. Any questions or tips you want her to share with you? Because she's got a lot. She just scratched the surface of what they're doing here in Santa Fe. Thanks again. Last but not least, we have Sydney Lienemann from the Environment Department. Welcome aboard, Sydney. And to hear about a specific technology that you've been innovating at the Environment Department on leak detection. So tell us about that.
Sure. Hi there. So I'm Sydney Lienemann, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some innovative technology that we're using here at the Environment Department to do leak detection at public water systems. And I'll start by saying that this is actually my last week at the New Mexico Environment Department. So at the end, I'll put an email address in the chat for the person who's the project manager for this, who's out of town this week, which is why I'm doing the presentation. But excited to have the opportunity to tell you about it. I'm going to start by also showing a quick video, and then I'm going to tell you like a story about a use case that happened a couple weeks ago, and then I'll save some time for questions at the end. And hopefully I'm going to share my screen and you're actually going to be able to hear this video. That's my dream scenario. All right, do you see YouTube? Oh, wait, I have to share first.
There we go.
Okay, now do you see YouTube?
Yep.
Cool, okay. Volume's up. Fingers crossed. Here we go. Can you hear it?
No. Can't hear the secretary.
I'm sorry, what's that, Ken?
Could not hear it.
Darn it. Okay, hold on. Okay, let me try one other thing. Hopefully this will work.
Very faint.
That's actually not me. That's somebody else. Let me see if I can. Share sound.
No.
Optimize for video sharing. Okay. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna try one more time. Ready?
Got it.
Agua es vida. That's how we say water is life in New Mexico. And the whole planet needs water, not just for recreation, not just for agriculture, but for drinking water. And did you know that up to 70% of treated drinking water across the US is lost due to infrastructure leaks? Identifying and fixing these leaks is challenging, I mean really challenging, especially when tasked to small municipalities with limited staff and limited resources. And in many cases, the leaks have existed for years, but crews really have no idea where to start. However, the New Mexico Environment Department is partnering with Google and Woolpert And we're using satellites and artificial intelligence to find these leaks so they can be repaired and our drinking water can be saved.
Leveraging publicly available satellite imagery from world-class government organizations like NASA, this partnership is developing a platform that is able to detect changes in subsurface moisture. In short, it spots anomalies highlighted here in red. These are unusual changes observed over time that may indicate water leaks or other issues.
Now, crisis in one New Mexico village right in the middle of their busiest tourist season. People in Chama are completely out of water.
In a community like Chama, where tourism is a main revenue source, water leaks severely threatened the local economy in 2022. Using airborne and satellite imagery, the leaks were detected and repaired faster and cheaper than normal methods would allow. From this event, the new Hydro Delta platform was calibrated. Identifying potential water leaks can be transformational. In the rural community of Truth or Consequences, for example, this could revolutionize its ability to provide sustainable water to its residents.
The water issue really reared its head pronouncedly back in 2022. We had over 400 water leaks that we had recorded that year. We made national headlines. And so we knew we needed some long-term relief. And that's when we started going to the legislature and asking for some funds. We have an aging infrastructure. Some of our water lines are 70, 80 years old. In some areas, we have 5-8% of flow. And that's where things started breaking and busting. And it was exponential. Satellite imagery that would allow us to detect those leaks without having to spend the manpower to find them, to rely on the public to tell us what's going on and where they are, would be a game changer for us in that it would really speed up the time that we can react.
Here's how our new platform works. The core of this platform is Google Earth Engine. Google Earth Engine brings together more than 40 years of historical and current global satellite imagery, along with the tools and computational power necessary to analyze and mine that vast data warehouse. As a planetary scale platform for environmental data analysis, it's an invaluable tool to deepen knowledge of the implications of climate change and much more. Hydro Delta employs a massive collection of multi-dimensional satellite images, including thermal and infrared. An algorithm analyzes images over time and identifies substantial changes in things like temperature and moisture. The most significant changes are isolated and reported to the operator. The platform never stops, constantly analyzing images to spot new anomalies. Once potential water leaks have been identified, inspectors can go into the field and verify. In future versions of the platform, artificial intelligence will be used to categorize anomalies and be able to provide a more vivid description of what the operator is looking at. Federal and state funds are available to help fix these leaks. Citizens who observe leaks can upload leak information via an app for the Hydro Delta platform. This tool supports New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham's 50-year water plan passed in early 2024. A primary component of that plan is reducing leaks in drinking water infrastructure and increasing municipal conservation. Hydro Delta will serve as a key tool in that goal, in addition to saving New Mexico an estimated $154 million in costs to find leaks.
Great. So that was just a little bit of background on the Hydro Delta project. Sorry, I don't know why that autoplayed. So we started this project about a year ago, and we have the first version of it that we've been starting to use, and I think try and understand sort of the limitations of it, as well as where it's really helping us to identify leaks. So we received an email from a water system up in the East Mountains from here in Albuquerque, saying that they were having huge leaks, like kind of similar scale to what we saw in Truth or Consequences. Something like 40% of their water, their finished water, was leaking. They were having to get truckloads of like 200,000 gallons of water to put in tanks to then go through their distribution system. And they had been able to identify some of the water leaks, but not all. And so this was kind of a perfect opportunity for us to ground truth the beta version of this project. So we began by, and I'm going to share my screen one more time so you can see kind of the data and the locations that we were looking at. So the water system is called Tranquilo Pines. And as I said, it's up near kind of Harris area, if you know where that is. And so what we did was we asked the platform to go through and to look at satellite data over time to identify places where they saw increased water, so increased groundwater, looking at things like the wetness of the surface or evapotranspiration, just to see, because this is, you know, this is new technology. No one has done this before, and while we think it should work, there's really no guarantees, right? So we asked the Google Earth Engine to analyze satellite data over a period of a couple years to look for spots where we saw this additional water that could indicate there were leaks. And so if you compare October 2023 to October 2024, you see these red areas, and the red areas are places where we see more water. And that could be anything, right? Like that could be a stream, that could be a low point where surface water just kind of gathers. But if you can look over time, so that was October, September of last year versus this year, and you see this. I'm pointing to my mouth. I'm not sure if you can see, but you see in the circle there's sort of this red area that continues to show up. 2023 compared to 2024. And so for us, that was sort of the highest probability area that we thought maybe could have a leak. But again, you know, this is just what satellite data is showing us. And it's really important that we were able to go out there and ground truth, you know, is there actually a leak there? And what we found out when we sent this data that we had gleaned from the satellite program to Tranquillo Pines was that there was in fact a leak here. It just wasn't the leak they were looking for because this is not part of their system. This is across the street from where their system is, but this site is actually on a private well. So we did identify a leak, which is great, but I think a really good reminder for us that technology can only get us so far. Technology can find a leak, but it can't tell us, yes, this is on the system, or no, it can't. We were also able to identify another area that they were not aware of, a leak that they weren't aware of, and that was right next to a fire station. Now, we're not sure whether it's actually leaking pipes or whether the fire station is just using a lot more water to wash their fire trucks, and that's going downstream. But it was another place where we were able to successfully identify there is more water than there should be at this spot. The sort of third example that we got from doing a site, like an all-day site visit to this water system, was there was one place that they knew there was a leak, but we were not able to identify it using our system. And the reason why was because there was a lot of tree cover. And so we weren't able to see to the ground whether there was more or less ground, like water, I'll call them water hotspots in that area. And this tool, like 1 pixel is about the size of a baseball diamond, right? And so if you're hoping that this is going to be able to tell you this is the exact spot where you should drill to look for a water leak, it's not really able to do that. It's able to say, this is, 30 meter by 30 meter area, and we think it's somewhere in here. But it really requires a very close partnership with the water system, because they know what's actually happening on the ground, and they know where they've been able to go out and look for leaks where they've done testing to turn off different parts of the system to see where there are leaks. And so another reminder that technology and artificial intelligence, this stuff is all really great, but it can only get us so far. What we need more of, and I'm always happy to hear Liz Anderson talk about this, we need more people, more water operators, more system operators who know these systems, who will use them every day. And I think between the technology tools that we're developing here and having more and more staff who have more of that intimate knowledge of the water system, will be able to solve some of these problems. And we're going to continue to work on this. This is sort of as I said, the beta version of this technology, and we're going to look at additional data sets from different satellites that may help us get a tighter picture of what's happening within these water systems. But the folks that are on the ground, they're the ones who are really going to be the keys to solving some of these water leaks that we have within the state. So with that, I'll pause, and I'm happy to take questions about sort of the project and where we're going with it, and how it fits into the 50-year water plan, if that's helpful. Or I'm happy to also just pass it on and give you guys a couple minutes back in your day.
Great, Sydney. Just a quick one for me. Are you taking names of the municipal water systems that would like the assistance of this technology?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we're doing to validate and train the data is trying to get dates and locations of where water systems have identified leaks. So that helps us tell the system, hey, we know there was a leak on August 2022. And so you could use that data point to train the model to know what a leak looks like. And so we're encouraging water systems that either currently have leaks and want us to, try and take a look for where they could be, but also water systems that have fixed leaks in the past that would be able to provide us some of that data. We're very open to that. And as I said, the folks from Tranquillo Pines just emailed us, and like 6 of us went out there because we were so excited about, not that they're having leak problems, but the opportunity to validate some of this stuff. So as I said, I'm going to put my colleague Maida's email in the chat. And if you all, and you're welcome to email me until Friday, but she may be a better person for you. But if you know of water systems that may be interested in this, I'd encourage you, oh gosh, that's not the right one. I'd encourage you to reach out to our team. We're, as I said, very excited for the opportunity to work with more water systems.
Okay, Sydney, thank you so much. Very interesting. The recording of this and many of the handouts and PowerPoints will be on our website in the near future, so look for that. Our next Coalition Roundtable will be on or about December 18th to talk about lessons learned from 3 folks who went to Baku, Azerbaijan for the climate change conference, and what we can apply here in New Mexico, and then also preview the legislative session coming up in January. Thanks everybody for coming. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much.